Welcome to our first escape room special this year, the first one in quite some time, in fact. So we'll see if we still understand how to play cryptic escape room puzzles as we look at something fairly new by DI Progan. I believe this is the second version of something that was originally uploaded about a week ago, so it's a very new level, and also Progan's return to the game after a very lengthy absence since late 2020, I believe. And up to that point was a very frequent submitter to our puzzle streams. So we'll get in here and take a look and see if we can get anywhere close to the 79-minute record that has already been set by Zucchini, with what appears to be the only clear so far. Figure out the clues and make the path in Pattern Maker. So the last time I played a Progan escape room, it was actually one of the first ones that I had played in the genre. It was an art gallery level that I initially kind of broke to pieces just by applying some cryptanalysis skills, rather, to the key code room. Not counting on doing anything quite so cheesy this time. We see a spike wall here. I think that's fairly clearly going to be a spike wall that's supposed to get me up there if I'm able to make it cross this gap with something like an object placement. Just to fill that in with maybe a POW block or something. Although it probably wouldn't, because it can't be an object that would just allow you to stand on top anyway and bounce your way up. So it's not going to be something like a trampoline. Welcome in, Mario. But the top left corner here, let's do a camera check, looks very clearly like a passage that is going to take us up. The collision here, in fact, makes it look as though Mario could reach, but I believe the tile there is just out of reach while you're short. So yeah, I doubt it will be quite so simple as placing an object here or having a super mushroom or anything like that. I do believe that we are going to have to escort this spike wall across somehow and then spin jump from there. These two clues, right up, the chimes seem to give me some kind of sequence, like one here, two here, like they're placed in two separate locations that you run across. There's one here that's just dead center. We'll keep that in mind because I'm sure the sound effect is going to be a vital clue later on. So, right, and right up. Yeah, we'll start screenshotting once we've explored more of the level. I am on the Pro Controller today because, as we know from experience with escape rooms, it is often quite important to have the screenshot button handy. This looks like an item check. The fish on either side preventing you from smuggling something out with you in this room, which implies to me that there is going to be something that can be used as a held item, perhaps. I have another mushroom platform up here that definitely looks reachable somehow, although notice that with the placement up there, it could also be a drop. It does bother me quite a bit, of course, that this is not symmetrical because of the fact that the door is only one tile wide and one tile objects cannot be centered properly. With a scroll stop on either side, you can kind of see that gap that's on the right side there, causing a considerable annoyance to everybody. This art block pattern might become relevant, but I think we better check around first. This looks like it's going to be something that will give me a platform. Yeah, okay, good. We'll check the pipe afterwards, for sure. Fish. We should run over the mushroom platforms when we see them in case of the chime clue we saw earlier is going to be relevant. And then we have piranhas. And the hard blocks here maybe something that's decipherable into a message eventually. I don't know if the placement particularly matters. Having put on the shell, we can always grab another shell by re-entering this room, but Let's see. We know we can't take it out with us to the entry area because of the item check with the Cheep Cheeps on the tracks. We can, however, return here and have Shellment plus Shell. Let's actually do this quickly. Also note that donut block. Don't know what it's useful for yet, but we'll go back and check. Let's actually see where this donut is going to drop. Now, I should be able to grab a second shell here when I go back. Also notice this slot here indicating that something is built in the adjoining room that is taking up all that space to the wall. I should do the donut check once again. I just want to see how the block lines up in case it is something relevant. Don't know if it is. We'll take it all the way down and we'll just float down here. Okay. And we might as well swim up here in case there was, I don't know, some kind of indication that there's an invisible block or something. I wonder if taking out the fish would affect anything entity limit-wise. That's always a possibility when we see the ability to kill those. So yeah, we'll check the left pipe. There are 4 pink coins in this level. We'll see how interdependent they are, or how sequential. It looks like if you collect all the coins that this is a candidate for the door. Notice that because of the lack of the safety coin, we shouldn't expect things to be broken over a checkpoint or anything like that. Also notice that, I'm not going to do this right to left, but let's say we try to do a shell jump, which I obviously am not really well equipped to do, but that's okay because we have given ourselves the ability to take an additional point of damage. Actually, you know what? Let's check the left side first before we come back in here. Okay, this is definitely some kind of cryptic clue. This will actually be worth shooting, I think, because we will not remember this. I will jot things down in that text pad as necessary. We obviously don't have enough of a context to know what to do with this just yet, but the first thing we'll notice is that the number of the different types of elements don't match. There are the same 4 kinds of elements. P, red block, ice block, cloud. Notice that the kind of P, red, P junction connected to the ice piece here is the same the top half and the bottom half, so, you know, potentially you're going to have some kind of transformation. But we don't know what the transformation function is yet, if it is something that's relating one piece to the other. We should pay attention to the fact that the numbers of each object don't match up. So you have 3 clouds over here, 2 clouds over here, you have 2 red blocks over here, 1 red block over here, so it isn't going to be some kind of rearrangement function that's mapping from one to the other. And we should also pay attention to negative space. The negative space is sometimes something that will become relevant. Right now, though, we absolutely do not have any information to work with. I actually kind of wonder if I can shell jump up top or something and see if we can scroll the camera further, but looks like we're pretty close to the top half already. Let's see about that. Oops. Oh, no. Didn't mean to lose the helmet. Let's just put another one on. We only have 40 seconds to work with anyway, so we might as well play around in this room a bit before we pop ourselves back to the entrance. Whoop. 25 seconds. Okay, let's try this once again. Just want to see if I can do it. And, oh, okay. You know what, we can actually check whether any of this is accessible. We'll check. Okay, so a couple of blocks are defend it all around. We should check that a little more thoroughly. I guess because those are blocks that spawn vines, that those blocks are cancelled out the next time you enter a room, so possibly that is going to be exit only, like a kind of descent. I noticed that there was a kind of freebie checkpoint that's available right at the start with no coins. I actually should have checked the pipe on a checkpoint to see if there is something to recycle it on the other side. I suspect there is, if it's retaining coin progress, and yes, there is. We'll come back and check this room in a moment. I want to go back to the Cheap Sheep room first. So notice that you already have one coin that is past a key, which tells me that there's going to be at least one key door interaction that is not tied to the 4 pink coins and has to precede them in some way. Unless, of course, you blow up the hard blocks that are at the bottom here on either side, but it seems unlikely. We haven't seen how it looks on top either. It might not be something to do with the key door after all. Anyway, let's take the shells. Oop, let's be careful with the cheap. And yeah, let's exit out this room again. Take another shell. And we'll do what we did earlier to try to up-throw in this area and just kind of inspect what the ceiling is like. It looks like you're kind of blocked from shell jumps on either side. That's probably just a fairly basic anti-cheese mechanism. And it did seem like those were vine blocks that get properly refreshed, so they don't obstruct anything on the way down if you spawn in the top of this layout eventually. But let's just run a few checks anyway, just to be absolutely diligent about this. Because yeah, I think I did see that you... Oh, okay, never mind. I was sure that it was a question block that was activated on the red level earlier, but as you can see, it does go through the center, and so we should actually think about how we might come through here. It might be, you know, through eventually some kind of power progression from Yoshi or Bone Shell or something, or here's something that comes to mind. Piranha Plant Bounce should actually be within reach for me on this guy, and so if we take him up, I should be able to spin. Let's not take him all the way up, though. Let's make sure that I can actually get up there myself. And yeah, there we go. That's a yay, implicitly. Okay, notice this. That we now have the pulses here matching up to the pulse clue that we had at the start with the arrows in either direction. We better screenshot this, by the way, and just remember that it's going to be 2 and 3. We haven't seen a 3 yet, so that's an additional piece of information we still need. Unless it's something additive, like 1 pulse plus the 2 pulses on either side, because the single pulse we saw earlier was centered. But for now, let's just assume that we don't have quite everything that we need just yet. And yeah, we know that there were directional arrows that were attached to each of these pulse patterns. And possibly there's some kind of sequence that is like a movement sequence that transforms one yellow block placement to another, but we'll go back and we'll take a look. Also, yeah, I'm pretty sure nothing here is going to hold a key unless... because that would potentially make a pink coin exit cheesable if you're able to come back here with keys. Also notice that, yeah, this is in a different subworld than the other key door that we saw above the checkpoint earlier. So this key door would not be mapped to the pink coin we saw before regardless, since there is a pipe transition between the two. So with that in mind, let's just get out of here and just collect more information. We've barely seen a level so far. We've just entered this one pipe. We saw that there was quite a bit beyond this pipe. We got doors here, spike top. Let's see the other side of the checkpoint first. Okay, there's going to be a door reset that takes you through here, as well as a P-switch obstruction on this pipe, which tells me we should try it. Okay, so notice the track that is on the right side of the 3x5 block grid earlier. And also that this prevents some kind of object reset from coming through the door. Probably bombs, so you can't smuggle the bombs in a cycle or something. P-switch up top and a bomb. And this whole mechanism here. So looks like this thing here is... Oh, also notice the bottom right. That the bottom right has another one of those 3x5 patterns like what we saw earlier. So possibly, you know, the combination of these 3x5 pattern clues is going to get me something that applies to this. Given the yellow box here, though, I think this definitely directly relates to the clue that we saw earlier, which had the block placements kind of the central blocks, I think. Like this one, nope, sorry. Second one here, fourth one there. So yeah, there's some kind of block pattern that relates to the pulses with their associated directional arrows and the yellow block clues that we saw earlier. So we'll keep that in mind. I think I understand what is going on here. So here, it looks like if you jump up towards the blue blocks, you'll have a thwomp activation. The thwomp dies, it's going to activate the on-off switch once. The on-off switch is going to trap you in there while the floor drops out. The P block I'm not sure about, but probably has to do with a P-switch activation where, depending on whether the P-state is active, yeah, if the P-state is active, you can't jump in here in the first place, so you can only jump up there if there is no P-switch already activated. And I don't know if one is sort of activated by the on-off trigger afterwards. And we'll have to find that out. We've got 50 seconds. Turning the switch off unblocks the blaster on the right side, which if you look at it, looks like it's going to fire something back and forth. That is going to hit another on-off switch. So there's going to be a period of activity where you're trapped in the on-off blocks. The blaster fires something, probably... I mean, it could be a shell, it could be a spike ball as well, I think. It's going to send something back to another switch activation that then drops you back onto the floor. So there's going to be a temporary state switch that is given a certain timing window, and then you drop back into the floor, and then you reset through this door. Looks like all of these blocks are reloadable, which tells me that there is something here that relates to destroying some of this with the bomb. Notice that, yeah, the on-off switch is going to drop the blasters, and possibly drop something else here. And it looks like if you create a certain pattern, hence the title of the level, Pattern Maker, if you create a certain pattern... also notice that we no longer have the Shelmet, which we need to keep track of, because I don't want to mess around with the bombs and accidentally take a hit. We probably do want the hit buffer of the Shelmet, unless there's a reason not to. Anyway, activating the on-off switch on the right side looks like it's going to drop the blasters and drop something else through this slot. Dropping the blasters... while something like a P-switch is active, or even without... Well, if a P-switch is not active, and it's not going to be active at the time that we make this jump, because of the block, The blasters are going to fall to a certain location based on how many of these blocks are still alive and active. And none of them are going to spin if all of them contain vines like this. So let's say you use bombs to destroy part of this set to perhaps reduce it to something similar to what we saw earlier. The on-off activation drops the blasters in a certain location, and that makes something happen, which probably hits the P-switch from there. We need the P-switch to be activated because that's what gives me this coin. Now, if I'm correct, that means that this door is probably matched to the one in the right side of the room, such that if we trap ourselves here, we activate something. As predicted, it's a spike ball with a timed activation, and something blows up on the left side, and the blasters all die. And then you come through here, the P-switch has already expired, and you can't get through here. So the idea is that you need to activate this. Notice that the P-switch must expire before I'm able to enter the door. So by the time I enter the door, this is back. That tells me that one of two things must happen. Either at the end of this thing here, when I drop through the P block, scenario one is that there is a P-switch activation like the P-switch in the top left corner at this point when I've already dropped through. And then we carry the P-state through with us coming back here. The second thing that can happen is that the on-off switching system changes the layout in such a way that I drop through here with something in the layout changed, such that the P-switch up here activates on spawn. Like, activates as soon as I come out of this door, and then we would drop right into the coin. So we've got to keep this in mind, and we've got to keep the right side backwards C in mind as well. Also notice that once again, I think the counts of the respective blocks might not match up in terms of the number of each element. Also, sound is dead already. I better get that back online. Just give me 1 second, since we are kind of pausing this for a moment. Anyway, we'll be right back. Actually, it's hard to tell because this uses the peaceful music theme, which is just naturally not sending much of an audio signal. I mean, it is there. I can see on my indicators if music is going. Now, notice that you can't come out here either with the P-switch active, so... Okay, so we've got this over here. We've got what looks like 1, 2, 3. Listen to the bouncing sound as we came through. 1, so we activated something. Ice blocks, 1, 2, 1, 1. Oh, whoops. Cloud blocks. Yeah, so you've got all 4 of the types that are in the pattern room. And it seems like in each section you have a drop through one of 3 columns. Ah, okay, here's another one. This is probably important. This is 1 pulse. We'll probably want to restart since we have no coins anyway and look at the start of the level. So this is 1 pulse. This door, and then this could be an exit pipe. It could also be perhaps an entrance pipe that is unlocked by some other interaction. So for example, yeah, we know that there's some kind of off-screen interaction that's being triggered by proximity, I think, when you drop in either column. Probably not through the center column. But that these columns move a little bit in such a way that it looks like you definitely trigger something. Notice from the ground blocks that something is built right on the other side of this wall. And like you can kind of get to the narrowest location and see if there's something on either side. Something's definitely very bouncy. Then, yeah, obviously that was just a shot in the dark, just to see if we can hug each of the walls to get some kind of off-screen bounce to happen. It looks like there will be some kind of code entry there. And maybe what that does is it's... Perhaps this is entity blocked or something, and then you would have a particular off-screen sequence that releases the entity limit and allows this to spawn either a POW or a sideways trampoline. A sideways trampoline would just block the door, but then allow you to exit through the pipe instead. So, and a POW you could just pick right up, so that's not as relevant here, but yeah, I don't really see a particular correspondence between the numbers of the blocks. Like you have 1, 2, 1, 1. You have actually it complicates things because you have kind of 4 columns of markers and 3 columns to navigate, 1, 2, and 3, and so we'll probably, once we get a better sense of what we're doing here, come back and screenshot some of this, but or we could just get it now, because I think maybe we should pay attention to the background doodads as well. Notice how you've got 1 tree, you've got 2 of them here, these saplings, nothing over here. I don't know how relevant the background art will be. Notice that this mushroom column is also continuous and takes you down. It might just be an aesthetic thing. Yeah, 1, 2, 2, 1... 2, 1, 2. I guess you only have 3 clusters for the P-switch as well. Okay, so this is only 1 pulse. So we've seen 1 pulse, 2 pulse, 3 pulse. It could be that the triple is kind of additive between the first 2, but it's also possible, given that it seems like these clues are scattered around a level, that we just haven't seen the correct clue yet. Okay, next thing, let's try this door. Okay, check the pipe, nothing here. Icicles might trigger something down below. The claw. Okay, mushroom on the left. This looks like the kind of troll level notation that says no shell. We know that we can get a shellmet in here at this point. And so possibly there's some kind of interaction that only triggers if you do not wear the shellmet. Now I'm wondering what that could be. Why it could possibly be shellmet dependent. I guess it could be because of the item order. Oh, that totally triggered something. There's some kind of mushroom detection. Or power-up state detection in this room. It could be that because if you come in here with a shell and you take the mushroom, that would mess with something. I'm just trying to figure out how that would work, like in terms of power-up detection. Yeah, again, there's going to be some kind of sequence that is going to activate some P-switch off-screen and then allow me to access the coin from there. We don't know what that is yet. It could be some kind of sequence that you need to press with the icicles, but they don't seem to be activating anything. Certainly not anything like an on-off switch. This is a mushroom check. That's all it is. You got an additional coin coming out of the yellow pipe, which I don't think we've matched to anything yet. No block. Okay, so this is a 2. I would suspect this key door is the one that's kind of matched to the checkpoints that we saw earlier. Okay, so you actually blocked here, hence the death spike. I would be guessing that... Yeah, notice the bottom right corner. Like if you hit like a sequence on the on-off switch that then gives you something in the bottom right corner, then you can hit the on-off switch, kill it, and that probably gives you the key. And the death spike is mostly for people who want to get out of here without having solved it, I guess, if they have coins that are worth preserving at checkpoint. Now, the 2 diagonal strokes. Should we be reading that as some kind of equal sign or some kind of bridge or equivalence or something? Notice that's... Yeah, no, it's only the first 2 pitches. The do and re, as it were, that are being repeated, so that's not going to be something like 2 each. It looks kind of like a rhythm input or something. Like that. But, either that or it's telling me that the thing that is being represented rhythmically is somehow like equivalent to the number 2, or... No, the thing is, you know that there's got to be some kind of interaction in this room that gets you the key and gets you out of there, because... I would guess that this is because if you have an interaction that spawns a key, you obviously can't take it back with you because you would be able to break other key doors without having collected the coins. Like the key door that we saw earlier. So you kind of have to solve this in order to get out. The other thing I'm considering is that the spike here may be like a multiplication sign or something. So it would say like this melody times 2 or something. So let's try jumping it. Okay, that killed something. Whoops, no, that's not what I wanted to do. Let's start over. So I'm just starting at the lowest pitch. Yeah, do, re, mi here. Oh, whoops, no, sorry, that's not what I wanted. I wanted the block before that. It's possible I don't have enough information to go on here yet, but let's try it. Okay, let's try it twice. What's it times 2? Yeah, so there you go. You got the muncher in the bottom right, which is not holding the key. Okay. Let's see, because maybe... Okay, so it is going to be some kind of rhythmic thing here that does like a track switch, perhaps, that loads an object into position. It seemed like we were kind of on the right track, except... not with the right starting note. Let's see which pitch it is that we start with when we get in here. Okay, mi, mi, do, do, re, yeah. That kind of works. Let's try to double tap it and see it. Because it seems like we just loaded the wrong object into that slot. That is not supposed to be that muncher. And it might be, oh. Okay, that solves it. Now I wonder if manipulating the on-off state does anything here. I mean, I would assume there's some kind of check against it. And that is 1 coin. We had better save that coin. Okay. So that's accounted for. So anyway, let's proceed because we've... Yeah, so this was the, whoops, buzzy room. This was just a music room. I bet we can probably get on top of this guy and see what's up top. Notice the icicle symbol at the center here as well. That maybe that's important, or it just tells you that it takes you to the room with the icicle. Sound is dead once again, but it's not too material here right now, I don't think. Like, I hope the music room was actually clear earlier, then I don't know if sound was actually active here. Actually, what happens if we try to do this again? Probably just kills the enemy, except it no longer holds a key. Unless it loads something different. Yeah. Anyway, just wanted to show that off quickly. Yeah, sound is actually a little too glitchy to show it off. Let's see if we can fix it just for the sake of a cleaner presentation, since there are actually some audio clues in this level. And we can't really afford to have things blinking in and out on us. And hopefully this is not going to be too severe an issue today. Okay. Yeah, no, I just wanted to show off the music just to make sure it plays on a record. Because it seems like sound was sort of breaking up against this thing. Yeah, hopefully that's audible. We just kind of follow the pitches. We should get that Buzzy helmet back, actually. I kind of want to go back to the Claw room to see how seriously we should take the no Buzzy sign, like whether it breaks something or it does something else entirely. Yeah, we wanted to go over here. Also, an idea occurs to me with the Buzzy helmet that I hadn't thought about previously. So yeah, it says no Buzzy. Probably just fails to activate the P-switch for some reason. I'm not sure how the Buzzy helmet state detection would work, though. So I don't know why it is that a Buzzy would prevent it. It might be a priority-related thing where you like take damage, for instance, and whoops. Did we grab that checkpoint? Yes, we did. Okay, 1 coin. That's good. Yeah, that donut block drop on the right side, I still don't really know what it's relevant for. And once again, we never know if there are some kind of entity-related issues that would necessitate killing off some innocent creatures. Okay, so this was the thing I had in mind, was that I should actually be able to bump the spike ball over for the spin jump. Okay, so first of all, let's screenshot this. The 1 pulse right, 2 pulses right up. Should write some of this down, actually. But we've got the shots to look at. Oh yes, yeah, I would need to bump this further if I want to do this spin jump thing to the left side. Let's keep bumping it. Whoops. That's clearly doable. Let's just try it again. This way. No, hang on. Okay, let's just do it again. Crouch, maybe? Yeah. And then we'll chase it down again and chase it back up. Like this. Great. Okay, Okay, this is interesting. It looks like it's just telling you to add the blocks together, such that the first one and the second one, when you put the hard block placements together, they make the number 4, which is interesting because it means that we should actually think about the 3x5 patterns that we've seen so far as a kind of composition, where perhaps you overlay them together. So let's actually take a look at the screenshots briefly. Okay, so yeah, we've got 1 pulse and 2 pulses. We've got, this was the single pulse one here. We've got the 2 and 3 over here. But what we're looking for, though, is a way to use... Oh, we forgot to take a shot of the 3x5 pattern in the bond room earlier. But yeah, if you look at this, it looks like there are no redundancies in the position of each of the block types. Such that, so for example, if you take the 3 clouds on the left and the 3 clouds on the right, there are no overlaps. So you can put them together. And like how we saw with the hard blocks in the number 4 just now, they probably make some kind of number on a 7-second display themselves. Which we can probably kind of reverse engineer, because if you look at the clouds, for instance, you know it's not going to be the number 1 or something. It might be the number 9 or some other kind of curve, but it's not going to be a 1 or something like a 5, maybe. Yeah, because there are certain numbers that you can just eliminate even with what seems like incomplete information. We know that we have the third 3x5 pattern. We should go back and get a screenshot of that and see if this is still true, that there are no redundancies. Yeah, let's go back to that. That was in the bond room, which was on the other side of the checkpoint. Also, I don't think there's anything up top. This looks like it's not scrolling any further. And yeah, so this thing here, let's check the patterns now. These are somewhat spread out. So for example, let's just focus on the ice blocks. You know, the ice blocks... You know what, we're going to have to maybe take notes here. Just give me a moment while we try to bring up the file. Let's see if this will work. Okay, there we go. Blank file. Hopefully the overlay is visible. So we have 4 block types, and we can think about them with the overlay like we saw for number 4. We have ice, red, cloud, and P. And each of these are 3x5 pattern. And we'll just do like maybe stars and strokes, or actually this is monospace. We'll just no, we'll need to kind of stroke out some space so we know. So for example, the ice pattern would be something like this. So we just input the left side, and then we can just replace the additional dots as we go. And then we could then add this pattern, and it looks like there are still no redundancies. And this is actually just going to form the number 2. Unless there are additional segments or something that will turn this into like the number 8 or something. We should actually just take these clues as is right now. And well, it looks like I might still be missing one little dot there if it's going to be a 2, like the one that's kind of this position that we're trying to highlight. But let's see what the other patterns look like, and we'll try to do the overlay similarly. So red blocks, we'll just, once again, stroke things out. I think it would probably be more readable if I use spaces, but spaces are also difficult for me to keep track of in a document full of white space. So yeah, red just gives you those 3 dots over there. Red might just be the number 1 if there's a full stroke. And yeah, it looks like we're actually still missing 1 piece. And maybe that could fill in a whole bunch of spots to make this the number 7 or something, but we know that it's going to rule out things like 5 or 2 or whatever. Oh, well, no, it doesn't rule out 5, but it would rule out something like 2 because of the placement of the blocks in the right column. So let's put question marks here in case. And cloud, let's go back. Let's make some space in this document, in fact. Cloud is going to be, we'll just start with the left. Then we will add the ones that are on the right side of the grid. Looks like the cloud is kind of emerging into the number 3 or something, by the looks of it. But we'll check these corners that are being added here and see if... it might not be. It might be like a 9 or something if it fills in the rest of the loop of the 9. We're definitely still missing information though. So, although maybe the range is restricted to 1, 2, and 3. The reason I say that is because of the Roman numeral 1, 2, 3 room that we saw earlier. Let's take the overlay off for a moment. Oh, no, I forgot to do the P block. 1 second. So the thing I'm thinking about is the fact that we have the what is it? The drop segment with the 3 columns that we saw earlier. It only goes up to 3 if the 4 different block types are assigned to the 3 Roman numerals. Uncaught cursor, welcome. Hope the music making or the music app making is going well. And that's you've seen some levels utilized a tool already. Okay, let's fill this in. It's going to be, we're going to start with the left side of this display. Once again, we should understand the dashes here in my notes to be blank spaces and the asterisks as the placements. And then we'll eventually see what that looks like. This looks like another number 3 or something as well, the way it's snaking around. So maybe it is something like 3. And we can just try something like a 2, 1, 3, 3 entry. I mean, again, it's based on incomplete information, but I'm just looking at these patterns and seeing that, you know, with all these curvy ones, like, you know, with the cloud, you're going to rule out 1. Now, it might not have anything to do with the lock we saw earlier anyway. In your opinion, are levels in Maker 2 public data, or do they require a login? Has it already been established that the metadata around Maker 2 levels is already accessible by a public API, or did Nintendo stomp on that? Like, I mean, from a technical perspective, the stuff is in the open, right? I would say that there is actually an established standard for thinking about that, which is the data that was exposed by the bookmark site in the first game. Like, there's a very clear baseline for what it is reasonable for people to expect. Also, I realized I completely forgot to paste the code for this escape room into the chat at the beginning. So for anybody curious, and also for my own reference, in case I need to share it later, I'm just going to punch that in now. Okay, let's go back to the drop room, because I think we are definitely sitting on incomplete information, but that we're able to make something like a guess. And that, yeah, and Caught Cursor, I know it's something that's outside of Nintendo, because Nintendo made a point of not exposing things like the number of boos. So I know that some of that, like, it's kind of technically publicly accessible, but certainly some of it was not supposed to be. Oh, you can't access the data without valid Switch credential. Okay, I didn't know that. I guess, yeah, so, right, because in order for the data mining to take place in the first place, you would need to have an online connected account, right? Like, it's not something that is just floating around in plain text on the web or something. That's a good question, but I think from, like, I know you're asking sort of maybe like an ethical question rather than or a design principle question rather than a technical question. And if we're thinking about this not from a technical perspective, but from a perspective of like what kind of data are you supposed to expose in something like a public bookmark app? Once again, I think the bookmark site in the original game is an acceptable standard in terms of how public and searchable things should be. I think there is, in fact, a great deal of community demand for that. I don't think anybody would complain if equivalent data to what you saw in the Maker 1 bookmark site were all publicly exposed. Whether you would get in legal trouble, yeah, that's a good question. But then how is that different from things like the data that is already being scrubbed by like the OCR bots that are used for things like processing level codes into the Warp World Reviewer levels database, etc., and kind of linking them to titles, etc. Like, I don't see that as really all that different, except for maybe to the specific types of information that you're including in that. What was I doing here? Oh yes, I want to enter... Let's figure the order first of all. It's going to be Ice, Cloud, Red, and P. Let me just reorder my notes for a moment. So we have Ice, Cloud, Red, and P. I just need to move Red. Just try to stay somewhat organized. So we have Ice, Cloud, Red, P, and then we kind of have educated guesses for these based on the patterns I see so far. We know if we're restricted to 1, 2, 3, that we can rule out certain patterns already. And so what I'm predicting will happen is that we will unblock the yellow pipe, and that's going to create some kind of alternate exit via a POW or a sideways trampoline or something to stand on. And we'll see if my guess is correct. So we're going to enter 2313. 2. That zigzags a bit, but I think this is going to be the right idea. It does trigger something off screen by proximity, like a claw dropping an object onto a spring perhaps, or something like that. 1, and let's go 3 here. Yeah, absolutely what I thought would happen. You're almost done making a bookmarking site. Domain Hitch is transferring 2.3 terabytes of data. How do you deal with levels that are deleted and re-uploaded, for instance? So, like, you would need to scrub and re-upload again, or find like some kind of difference in the image or something. Find some difference in the database, rather. Like, how do you deal with kind of adjusting to deleted content on the fly? Yeah, to use the API to constantly query new levels. Yeah, but in terms of things that are removed codes, for instance, right? Like, there's probably no elegant way to constantly pull for that. You just kind of have to occasionally lead people to dead codes, right? We checked this already, or is that the first time it come up? No, we've... Okay, so we actually got through Yellow Pipe, and that was just a second coin. Let me make sure I get the checkpoint on this before we run out of time. Oh wait, I should have just hit that flag. Okay, so it seems like we solved the color code. Not two down. Let's check some pipes. Oh, that's something. Okay, hurt claw. Yep. This is missing a spot. Oh, that's just... So this definitely relates to the claw room that we saw earlier. I would doubt it's something that's just red top to bottom. I think there's probably some additional complexity we haven't thought about yet, but let's take a look. Yeah, I guess you would have to have manual removal reporting for sure. Because otherwise what you're going to have happen is... one thing I would be concerned about is sort of exposing early playtests and the like, right? Where, you know, if you're kind of relying on people to be aware of the site to manually request a deletion, and then you're constantly polling for the addition of new codes, then the issue you get is that a lot of the constant re-uploads for testing would just lead to a lot of duplicate results, right? But I guess if you sort by upload date, then it's at least fairly clear that if you get a lot of similar looking results, the most recent upload would be the valid one. Sorry, I'm trying to think about two problems at once here. Oh yeah, okay, so we had the things just now say power up hurt claw. Did I screenshot that? Oh, here's the 3 pulse clue. Which is good, because we now have enough information to match everything that we had. Let's just pop out. Okay. Yeah, let me just fill this in first, and I'll continue the chat about that uncaught cursor. So, we have... no, we already finished with the color clue. We're looking at this clue now that associates with the bomb room. So yeah, this was number 2 and 3. Let's match the 1, 2, 3 first of all, with the Harrow and bomb room clue. Let's put notes back up. We'll carve off the previous section as the pattern clue because we're done with it. And we've done the music clue. We'll watch... Yeah, we'll say arrow bomb clue, and then we'll have the pulses. 1, 2, 3. And then this is going to be... Let me figure out my notation here. Let's go right, up. And then the third one is right down. Now they're associated with each of these. So this one, notice that once again we have the 3x5 grid that's associated with the 3x5 set of yellow blocks that we saw in the bomb entry room. And right would point to the middle of the track. So let's see if we can kind of do some kind of notation here again, where this would be your starting location, and then you would go right, like that. Now we need some additional symbol, I think. Let's just write the directions that we placed here, and let's tab this over accordingly. And yeah, uncaught cursor, no worries. I need to kind of do a bit of paperwork here for a moment anyway, so before I get back to what we were discussing. So this was 2 and 3. So you start with this position. And then it goes right up, right? So it goes right and then up. And then that's your finishing position. And then this is pretty similar. Except it goes right and then down, like that. So you got these patterns, and then you have a couple of destination locations that give you the top, the third, and the bottom of the right side column. So the one above the track, the one on the track, the one below the track, as the destinations. Like if we think about the pieces being moved. So possibly those are the locations that we kind of need to overlay and leave behind. Let's go back to the bomb entry room and see what's feasible. Snowbear, welcome. Hope you're doing all right. Okay, let's go back to the bomb entry room. And I was totally distracted by this clue too, by the way, because we didn't even get a chance to look at this type clue that we had just discovered. Now, Snowbear, I'm doing just fine. Okay, so as I said earlier, the power-up hurt claw clue probably relates to the claw room. I doubt it would just be giving it to me straight. Like, I doubt it's just reading it top to bottom or something. We would need to figure out how this is associated with some other order. Like if we look at the change in the semi-solids, for instance, that you have this double layer over here, you have, you know, a couple of differences in the pattern. We'll come back and look at it later. Okay. Let's see. We want to do the bomb entry room. There we go. That was over here. So, oh, you know what? We want to shelmet here. I don't want to bomb myself by accident. Let's go back for the shelmet. Because I feel like mishaps are very likely if I don't take advantage of the extra buffer here. Yeah, okay, so I was going to continue to comment on what Uncaught Cursor was saying about what kind of data to publicly expose. I'll wait until I know you're back from the BRB, and we'll discuss that further, because something did come to mind with that. Okay. Let's see. We have the bombs over here. Yeah, we want to break this open. This conveyor belt is interesting. Oh no, that's probably just for whatever the switch mechanic is when I activate the switch on the right side. There was some kind of off-screen crushing animation as though there was like a big bomb crush push that happens from this block. It's probably the way it checks things that are on the bottom. Like, it's not just going to be a check based on the blaster drop, because then if it is just based on the blaster drop, then only the top blocks that you carve off would matter. The bottom blocks would matter if you have a particular thing that happens here with the pattern of whatever drops in this location. It could be like another blaster or something that does a push on a conveyor once it drops to the lowest level. But anyway, we want to, first of all, bring up the notes again. This is what we're looking at. So I can think of maybe two different configurations that we can do. The first interpretation is if we think about the arrows as leading the blocks to target destinations, in which case what we would be going for is... Oh, I also don't know, this 1, 2, 3, with the 1, 2, 3 pulses, whether the order matters. Like whether you do need to cycle around and you know, bomb things in a certain order. Like, for example, do something over the first clue, activate the thwomp, cycle back around to the reset of the room. It probably wouldn't be because it's a full reset of at least what we can see visibly, unless there is something off screen that is manipulated that creates a permanent order. I highly doubt it, because it would be a setup that wouldn't really be convenient to correct if the player decides to do things out of order, like do things following 2, 3, 1 or so. So I don't think anything is going to be state preserving when you go through the door. I think it is going to be a full reset, and that the only thing... Like, you would not be doing a solution that has to take place in order over multiple iterations. I think it has to be done all in one go. And so we have a couple of ideas. The first is to think about the destinations only, which would lead you to this weird pattern with just the top block, middle block, bottom block, which I think would be really fussy to set up. Because how do you leave the... So for example, you want to leave the bottom block intact. It would drop in this location, right? But then you would still be responsible for bombing this out and only this, which would require a bomb to be in this location 2 tiles out. Yeah, no, that's too fussy. I don't think it's going to be it. So the other thing we can consider is thinking of all 3 of these clues as pathways that work kind of like a snake block, except with just a 1 single yellow block moving. And if so, then we can have like the first block go like that. We would just kind of combine all 3. And that would look much cleaner, I think. Wow, that's a lot of bombs. So for example, if you place here, it looks much more plausible. The other things that would be worth looking at would be, you know, bomb placements on this semi-solid here, or on the left side, which just looks like it's just a drop position for whatever comes down. Yeah, I think what's going to happen is that you create this shape here. And yeah, everything is reset by vines. We should just try it and see what happens. drops in. And we'll see. So what should happen is that a P-switch should activate when I go through the door, if we've done this correctly. Otherwise, it's a full reset. And that's correct. Great. And you're locked out of doing anything else until the P-switch expires. Look at the blasters, by the way, the way that they're kind of contracting. They were shifting back and forth during the P-switch activation, like they're being affected by something else that might have been conveyor-based or something wiggling up there. Yeah, that's interesting, the way they were kind of shifting. I'm wondering how that would have been affected by the P being active. Oh, we'd better save the coin at checkpoint so we don't have to redo this one. Okay. Oh yeah. We did hit the flag, right? Let's just recycle the checkpoint just to be absolutely sure. Yes, we did. Now, I think I've done everything in this room, unless there's anything up top. So the main thing we're missing now is... I haven't even seen... Oh no, yes, I have seen the fourth coin. The fourth coin is going to be in this room. And it was the... power-up claw thing we saw earlier. I didn't actually get a screenshot of it. So we saw the room earlier that gave you like a power-up claw order or something. Let's go back and check it. I did not mean to lose the shell, but we're going to die in a moment anyway from time. So let's just reset the clock and get into this whole coin 4 interaction with 500 seconds. It did advise me earlier not to take the Shelmet into that room, but let's take it for now and we'll just peel it off if we go back in for whatever that entry is going to be. Anyway, let's get out. And oh yeah, this is the... We haven't interacted with either the heart or this little vine Oculus thing here yet. There's clearly something up there. Whoops. Coins up there that seem to point to this pipe as though you're expected to drop down here. And we didn't interact, did we, with the... bone shell room earlier? Let me think about that. Because I vaguely remember taking the spike top and going up through the bone shell, and so we haven't checked that yet. So yeah, okay, power up Hurt Claw. Let's we don't know what specifically is going to be relevant here. I think the semi-solid patterns might actually matter when it comes to all these branches sticking out, or the way that the overlaps are done. We know there's a maximum of 5 semi-solid overlaps in this game, and that they do follow a deterministic order, so the fact that you have like all 5 overlaps being used on the right side column, for instance, and only 4 overlaps being used on the left side column, maybe that kind of thing is going to be relevant. Oh, also notice that there's a top right corner here that is just out of view, and implies to me that there was something else built up there that is unreachable, or it's there to... Interesting, because that space is vacant, which tells me that this right side column is not actually a scroll stop. It might actually just be the rightmost limit of the screen, because the top right corner missing a piece, it may just be a result of, you know, something to do with slopes in the editor, or a placement being deleted there or something. But the fact that you can't scroll any further despite that being missing on top is a pretty sure sign that your on the right side of the subworld. And it has to be the subworld because there's no goal, and because we came through the pipe from the entry area. So, power up Hurt Claw. Let's make sure we take a screenshot of this, actually. Let's go down a bit. Notice, as well, that the first letters are all highlighted. Which tells me that maybe there's going to be some kind of shorthand later on where we need to read a key that is in order like PHC or HPC or something like that, or translates to it in a similar way as what we did with the numerical assembly that we saw earlier. And because I'm sure that you need to kind of sequence this into a given order. There's no way it's just top to bottom or bottom to top, I think. You need to sequence these in a certain order. Possibly with multiple repetitions, like in the music room, in order to have this deliver the correct solution for the P-switch. But we know that there's information I haven't used yet. I haven't gone up here, I haven't gone upstairs. Let's check this slot, actually. And that is something. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. So, I bet this was the missing piece to the clue that we saw earlier. Let's actually jot this down. Oh, that's going to totally obstruct. Let's screenshot this. Let's add this to the sequence of clues earlier just to see if we had everything. I mean, we did manage to guess it correctly from partial information, so it's not a surprise. And yeah, as expected, ice filled in one slot. We can take away the question marks. We know that things are complete. We know that the clouds, for instance, filled in some additional blocks to give you a 3. We know that red filled in a 1, and that the P's filled in a lot. So interestingly enough, the 3s as designed for the cloud and the P seem to be slightly different. Like they're kind of typographically different, which is interesting. You have 2 different 3s that are still recognizable as 3s. Anyway, that's not giving me any additional information, though. I guess I basically skipped this clue. So let's just go back to the level, because I don't think this actually got me anything new. Also, the bone shell room earlier, I think that's the one that we need to check. I don't know why I barely looked at that. Let's... Oh, first of all, let's peel the helmet and let's try just the top to bottom thing, because I think it's worth a try. So let's say we go power up Hurt Claw. So power up seems to activate a switch. There might be a damage detector. And then we go Claw. Claw definitely activates something. This sounds like multiple presses, but no P. So if there's some kind of really elaborate off-screen track pattern, maybe we do need to cycle through this multiple times, or go with my assumption that we just haven't found a remaining clue to get the PHC order correct just yet. But it seems like these are going to be the central interactions. Grabbing the power up to activate some kind of toggle. Taking damage on the icicles, which is the only way you can hurt yourself in this room, I'm pretty sure. And the claw, notice how getting on the claw shifts the camera position. So do the icicles though, so that's probably not relevant. But a claw might put you within range for something else that's happening off screen on the right side, and so let let us, in that case, get the bone shell again and see what kind of clue we might be missing. Not a bone shell, the fuzzy helmet. Okay. Alright, there we are. And let's come up here. It occurs to me that I could have maybe... I don't think you can bump it and keep it alive, unfortunately. Otherwise, I want to try to escort that to a totally different location. Oh, also, we totally didn't check the heart. And this looks very suspicious, this thing here. Let's check this, actually. So we know the coins take me back to the pipe. Okay, hearts. Notice the red blocks that are along the ceiling. However, every time we re-enter this room, I think the state is set back on anyway, so I don't think that affects anything, really. I also totally can't see where I'm landing, so let's go back down this way. That's what it's for. Ah, yes, we killed the spike top, so let's get back into this room. Yeah, we'd been upstairs previously, and why didn't I even take a look at whatever was up here? Did we just run out of time, or what did I do here? Did I even come here? I know I went up to the entrance earlier. Okay, so this looks important. The spike top direction maybe has to match the spike top direction of the blue one that we jumped on. I don't know. Vine and flowers. Interesting. Oh, you know what? It could be that these fragments here. We've seen these kind of hard block fragments before, and we know that some degree of assembly is potentially going to give me the characters. So if we think about the target characters being P for power up, H for hurt, and C for claw, maybe we need to take this clue and the other heart block clues that we received earlier and think about how to assemble them in such a way that you would be able to get the correct order. So like we thought about this as... but then this is also similar to what we had in the other room. Yeah, notice how this is kind of connected to the other room. So maybe each of these 3x5 blocks is part of a sequence that will ultimately need to reassemble. So the fact that you have visibility on the left side... oh, notice the bone shell as well. And that you have these 3 followed by 1. I don't know what the fire flowers are for. You got this band of 4 and this squiggly thing in the middle. It might just be something decorative for this massive central tree, which is, I'm pretty sure, supposed to be a tree. The blue crosses. If you come here with the on-off state swapped, you would be able to jump up to something else. Let's see. Oh, this is totally missing a spot. Let's check this. As expected. Okay. Another squiggly on the left side, but let's check the door. Okay, this is important information. So, we'd be looking for shapes like the T as the top part of, like the ceiling that things are being pushed up against, I guess. Maybe that's what the water clue is all about, that we see the hard blocks that were creating a certain pattern on top. We saw the hard blocks that were creating a certain pattern on the bottom, and we're supposed to kind of crash them together like this, such that something like T-shape here would then kind of create an impression, or at least something that would enforce the rearrangement of the bottom blocks. Somehow that would give me the characters C, P, and H. But then we know, if it's the case that we're going to transform into the letters C, P, and H, we know that whenever there's something on the right side column, it's not going to be the letter C, for instance. So we'll see. Again, I think I have to assemble partial information from a couple of different locations here. Also notice all of these blue block apertures that are all over the place. I don't know if that's going to be relevant. Let's take a screenshot just in case. So yeah, so if you think about a T in that room, I'm thinking about it like these T's over here, or this over here. So maybe we should think about all of the hard blocks as active blocks, such that if we push something against the T, for instance, it would be this shape down here. And this is actually exactly what we saw in the clue room just now. This is number 4. So maybe they don't give me the C, P, and H, they give me numbers instead. Which means, for instance, that if you push this up, and I don't know if the blue is going to be relevant, but if you push it up against here, then you have a certain impression that is made, but one that also connects to the existing extra block that you see up top, which would... I'll put this in the notes for sure, and screenshot and everything, since time is going to run out anyway. It would give you like a little bit of a loop here and something on the side. I had better screenshot this stuff actually, but maybe we should start with the other room first, just to keep things in order. And yeah, we know how to get up here, and then we know how to get down here. So it's going to be this room again, and it's going to be the same idea. I don't know how the donut block is relevant, but we're going to, once again, so for example, if you see this T, and it's a matching shape on this side, that's going to be the number 4, and this is going to be the left room, and the room up top with the dry bone shell is the right room. So yeah, once again, this is going to end with the number 4, whereas the other room begins with the number 4. So it looks like, depending on whether we count the hard block column at the left as potentially a number 1, that we have something like a 10-digit code sequence. God, Cursor, welcome back. Yeah, I did have a point I was going to make. Yeah, so you were asking about what would potentially get you in trouble with Nintendo. I think they're fairly clear about what kind of data they definitely don't want exposed, and that if you're erring on the side of caution, it's not hard to kind of just follow that template, that, you know, things that are publicly visible to the average player are probably okay to display publicly on your searchable database. So as a specific example, I would probably not display something like the specific number of boos or anything that affects the maker point formula or something like that, like information that Nintendo appears to be obfuscating by design. What are we doing? Oh yes, we are taking screenshots. Let's go back here first. Okay, so it looks like we have up to 6 characters, actually. And we'll think of the top as the mold, and the bottom as... Actually, no, they're just top and bottom pieces that have to click together. So let's just take shots, top and then bottom. And let's mine the plant, which I know is in this column. So yeah, it looks like these are 6 numbers. The one on the left is 1. The one on the right is 4. And then there will be some kind of decryption we need to do, but we'll check the other room and then we'll assemble this in the notepad. Yeah, once again, I don't know if the spike top direction matters. I think my strategy will be to go forward with things and change things up if you get a cease and desist. Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's going to be a very useful public service anyway. It's not as kind of exposing or invasive or anything as something like the level viewer, which I understand Nintendo has been trying to stomp on. Okay, so I don't know what to do with this central column with the bone shell. I think maybe this is just a visual clue for how to connect the bottom pieces to the top pieces, which we already understand. But we already know that from the other clue with the number 4, right? Like, the number 4 clue totally illustrates how to read this. I don't quite know what to do with the fire flower thing in the middle, though. I don't know what to do with the trunk, basically, so we might be missing something with the trunk. Or, for that matter, the spike top. So let's just get this in a notepad and click together what seem to be 10 separate digits. 6 on the left, 4 on the right. And we'll get the notepad for this part, because we will need it. So yeah, the top pieces stay in place, and the bottom pieces float up towards them and make an impression against the ground blocks. So, knowing that, we'll do the left side room and the right side room. Let's see if we can create a new section here. Yeah, the music clues seemed actually kind of inordinately easy compared to the rest of this, in that it was totally self-contained and didn't seem to rely on any outside information. So that was a bit of an oddball, but let's call this the floating clue. We're going to have 10 separate arrangements here, I think. Let's not do the dash thing this time. I think it's going to be too let's see. But the first number is going to be a 1. It's pretty clear that that's what's going to happen. We'll use a different notation for the top and bottom pieces as well, I think, just to make sure we have some space. So for example, let's use equal sign for the top. And, or maybe we can use, no, we should use something like, equal sign for the obstructions. And then we know that you've got 3 rows here. Whoops. And we know the last one is going to be 4, because we recognize that. Yeah, because we need to sort of figure out blank spaces here as well. There's always going to be a 3-tile ceiling above each of these, so we don't need to worry about that too much. And then, yeah, there's going to be space like that, and then It's going to be blank spaces on the left, blank spaces. We do need to fill in some of the blank spaces, otherwise it's going to be too confusing. C7123 1F. Welcome. Yeah, no, let's not do the blank space thing. That's going to be a nightmare to read. I might as well just take care of that clue now, in fact, because otherwise we... Okay, we actually have the same floating segments for the second and third characters, which is good, because it tells me that we're going to have C. Oh, it is going to be C, so it's not all numbers. It's going to be... Whoops. Maybe it gives you numbers followed by the C, H, or P, which then tells you how many consecutive interactions you need to do. Because for something like the mushroom, for instance, it does trigger a state switch of some sort. Aramis, welcome. So we know that there's going to be another floating interaction here that gives you 1, 2, then 3, 4, 5, which is interesting because I guess it gives you something that's much less than the usual 3x5. Maybe it's a letter D or something like that. That's a strange pattern actually on the third one here. Let's take a look. Oh, no, I messed up. I missed one completely. That's why. Yeah, no, I missed one completely because I forgot that the one... Yeah, no, I messed this up. Hang on. Let's redo the second one here. It is... Yeah, so what we're doing is we're doing an escape room puzzle. I'll punch into code, in fact, if I can... it's on the text file right now, but I'll punch it into the chat as well for reference. And yes, indeed, Taramis, if you're looking at the blocks down here, that is the strong implication of the character set that we see. So what we're doing in this particular room is we're imagining that all of these hard blocks are floating up to the top and joining the other hard blocks, but are being obstructed by the ground blocks. I will go back into the level, in fact, and show those of you just coming in how that looks inside the level and the clue that we used to establish that. Because then it'll be much clearer what I'm trying to do here. So, for example, look at this one on the left. See this pattern on the left? Imagine all of these blocks floating up and connecting to this T shape that's made by the ground blocks. How do we know that? Because we saw a clue room that is accessible with this vine that demonstrates how you read that specific pattern. So this is the clue room. So notice how it's using the POWs to kind of envision what it looks like to create the number 4. So that's what we're doing, and we're just doing it by assembling it with screenshots. I feel like rather than doing this manually, I should actually just do it in my head to save time. But it might be potentially prone to mistake. So we know that there's going to be a left room, 6 characters. Let's... it's not digits. We know that it's going to be a mix of lettered numbers. And then right room is going to be 4 characters. Left room is going to be 1C something 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 4. Right room is going to be 4 something something something. These are the ones we've established. And that Taramis, yes, I did make it through the most recent version of Lake Hylia. I don't know if the idea that I had for the hardest coin, by far the hardest coin, was correct, where I just shot a bomb over a couple times, because it looked like it was something that was supposed to be done with something like smuggling a bone shell into that room or whatever. But I was deciding between different strategies for like nearly 2 hours on that one coin yesterday. and everything seemed just plausible enough to be worth trying, but also just tight enough in terms of execution that it created the kind of possibility of failure, right? And so, yeah, I spent 4 hours on it yesterday, and I think half of that time was on that one coin before I eventually got it with the bomb shot. Anyway, let's visualize this. Third character in the left room. This is the left room that we're taking a look at right now. Yeah, you see, because I was looking at a trick shot and thinking, Kenny G's working on that level is doing an 8-minute clear check on this thing. Is he seriously doing the bomb shot on every iteration of the clear check? Is he seriously using that as an obstacle in something that is going to be like that tight and that time sensitive? Because it took me multiple resets just to get the bomb shot done at all. Oh, there is a dev exit. Okay, I didn't know. Yeah, I don't know if you just looked at the level viewer afterwards or conferred with him about it or something. Because some of the execution seems really tricky. I guess that would explain a couple of things. But I saw the 8-minute clear and I was thinking, oh, maybe there isn't a dev exit, because that seems like the kind of clear check time that is typical of levels that are on this scale. Yeah, because I was thinking for a moment that taking a bone shell into that room would be a much cleaner approach. But I was one tile off for making it happen. Okay, so we're looking at the third character here. It's going to be the L shape floating up to create the number 2. So it looks like it is going to be like a sequence of numbers and instructions, like with the claw and with the power up and with the hurt. Which then makes me wonder, oh, so this room is not going to finish with a 4. It's actually going to be an H. It's not a 4, it's an H. I misread the last character, the rightmost character here. Yeah, so it's going to be number and then one of the letters C, P, or H. And then either that or it's not telling me about repetitions, it's just giving me the order. So the number of characters don't matter. Like if I'm predicting this correctly, the one beside the H should just be the number 3. It should just give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and some combination of C, P, and H. And so there's actually some redundant information here to just make it abundantly clear what it is we should be looking for. And indeed, if we look at the second to the right over here, I predict it's going to be a 3, and it totally is a 3. Because the kind of backwards L will click into place. If we look at the right side room, for instance, the second one from the right should be a 5. And indeed, if we look at how the small backwards L is going to float up, it's going to connect and make a 5. So yeah, the numbers are totally redundant. And they're there for clarity, and I appreciate that they are there for clarity, just to make the clue extra recognizable, because of course the kind of linchpin here is the number 4 in terms of being illustrated directly with the POW blocks that we saw earlier. The first version of the level had a 4-minute clear check. Yeah, I didn't see the clear check time on the first version. And that's a good point about that being a tell then. So maybe the 8-minute clear check time on the second version was a deliberate obfuscation. Especially if maybe that was pointed out. But yeah, I can see some of the execution dependent stuff being shaved back a bit if there's going to be some final version though. I don't know if Kenny G's is re-uploading at this point, but I guess that would depend on what he thinks of the video footage. Because I might have been the only one to get a complete video clear so far. I know you and one other person did playtest it. Okay, 1C2. Where am I here? Yes, I'm reading a fourth character. It's going to be the L thing that floats up. Sorry. To the single slot up top and creates a P. So it's going to be CPH, and then we need to figure out the rest of this, which will require me to read the second and fourth characters. Second character is going to be, once again, a P, which is for power up. The last character is going to click into place as... It's not... Yeah, it is going to be a C. It is going to be a C. So, looks like the order, then, is going to be CPHPC. And we will do it. The third person also recorded their playthrough, I see. Yeah, very useful. Anyway, let's go back here. Let's do CPHPC, which we know exactly where to enter that. This was actually a lot more straightforward than I expected. But I think the clues are good. The clues are well placed, and in the end there weren't really that many red herrings. Or, I mean, I guess the entire center column of the dry bones room that we saw gives you the flotation, but it has a bunch of other extraneous information. Where was that room? Ah, yes, here. Oh, yes, and the advice here was to peel off the shelmet, because the shelmet does affect the order. And I see why, because if you grab the mushroom and you take damage, if you're wearing the shelmet, that only peels the shelmet, and that's going to affect the mushroom detector setup, which is, or the power-up detector setup that is active in this room. So, the order we want is CPHPC, which is Claw, Power Up, Hurt, Power Up, Claw. So I don't hear anything activated, but it might have dropped something into position off screen to the right. Claw, Power Up, and then Hurt is just take damage with the icicles. Hurt. Oh, whoops. I realized at the last moment that the next step is to get another mushroom, so that's... I kind of rethought which direction I would be traveling in on the icicles. So anyway, Claw. Power Up. That activates a switch. Hurt. Power Up. And then Claw. Should give me a P. And it does. Excellent. Okay, we know where the key door is. Let's not take a key death. That would be extremely embarrassing at this stage. And let's see if there's anything else to this. It is in this room, I believe. Okay, let's not die to Cheep Cheep. I want to go for the Shelmet, but I need to not die to this guy or the Piranha Plants. Interestingly enough, I think I can probably take an additional shell through the key door, so I'm going to do this twice. Just in case we want it for something. In case there's some kind of final post-key segment that we need to be aware of. Now, it's fairly easy, I think, to repeat each of these interactions. And let's go up. And we'll pop in here. This may or may not be the exit. Now that's interesting. Oh, this is to the right of the claw room earlier. Okay, so that was not the end of this zone. Despite what I thought with the ground block seeming to open up in the top corner earlier when we were there. Interestingly enough, I think we can make it over to the G if we jump on top here. Okay. Is this anything? Oh, okay. No, this is just the bottom of the previous room. We don't want to mess with that. Interestingly enough, if we did manage to get over here while holding the shell, we could have dropped it, done a spin jump on top, and gotten back out to the clue room. But thankfully we have already applied the key, so that wouldn't actually lose any progress. So I was kind of fearing that it would take the entire stream to do this one, given how things went the last time I did a DI program escape room. But we did okay. We actually got world record by a matter of a number of minutes. Let's actually try to get a quick single segment record here, since I have everything I need. It's not going to be a tight world record, I just want to flow through it. And so if you are avoiding spoilers, I do recommend averting your eyes, perhaps. But we don't actually need to do the spike ball thing because that was just an informational clue. We don't need it. Oh, you know what? There's a bunch of stuff we don't need to do because they're just informational clues. Do we need the Shelmet for anything? Interaction-wise. Okay, that we have... Let me look over my notes here. We actually probably don't want the Shelmet. Because there's floating room, music room, arrow room, pattern room. I guess the bomb is a bit of a risk. Yeah, no, we actually don't need a Shelmet. So we don't need to do that if we're doing a quick run for time check purposes. Hang on, this was 2313. This should give me entity. Let's do the music rooms. This is going to be a double tap. I think I missed the first opportunity here. Okay. Gives me a second coin. Third coin is going to be just a bomb room, and there's the... within the pattern room, and the floating room. Ah, yes, okay, so this we do not want the shell for, so we'll just do that quickly. Claw first. I don't know how much of a cooldown we need on that, probably nothing too significant. That was barely salvaged. And it prevents you from leaving here with the P state. Next thing is going to be the bomb room, which will be a bit of a risk if I play it carelessly and die to the bomb. So we'll just weave back in. We'll hit this quickly. I mean, this is not really going to be optimized or anything, I just want to set a reasonable record on it. Whoops. Okay. Oh no, okay. I messed that up. I really messed this up. Should have just reset this room, in fact. Okay, there we go. Paxman, your favorite acid clock streamer. I'm glad I have that distinction. I think you're the second person I've heard use that specific terminology. Oh, I messed this up. Hang on. Let's just do it over. I mean, I know I'm doing fine for time, but I completely bungled this, so... And maybe that wasn't a very good order doing things anyway. We should actually do this one first. Because the pipe pops me right back out, and we don't need to do any additional movement. Okay. This location here. I believe this was correct. Electro Dude, welcome. Okay, this should give me P-switch. It doesn't. Wait, I thought that was correct though. Why didn't we manage to get it? Because I thought that was exactly what we needed to do. I guess the difference is that I previously come in with the Shelmet. Why doesn't that work? Hang on. That doesn't look right. That does not look right. I think I broke something. We've already solved this for those coming in just now. Whoops. Hang on, I messed this up again. I'm just trying to figure out why the bomb room didn't trigger the way I thought it triggered when we just repeated what I did for the solution. Because I was pretty sure this was correct. And Paxman, you got it from Loop? Yeah. He's a bad influence, that one. Okay, so that actually gave me the bell that time, so this should give it to me. So I wonder why that didn't work before. Let's start over and see. So we got the clear, but I'm just trying to get my time down to something respectable right now. And so we're totally giving away the solution, although not giving away the thought process, which is the part that actually counts in a level like this. No, come on. This is why we're doing this room first. Not just the placement of that room in the first place, but because it is the one that has the largest room for execution-based errors. So yeah, maybe we actually broke something by going too fast here. Or I just wasn't watching something to do with my pattern. But this should have opened up something here. Yeah, that gives me a ding-dong. That should drop me in. Good, I wonder why it didn't work previously. Okay, next is going to be the drop room. Let me just check my notes. I believe it's 2313. Okay, 2, 3, 1, 3. We'll grab this. Might as well do the music room since it's here. And then we could have gotten it on the first cycle, but let's not mess with that. Okay. And finally, it is going to be which room? We've got the arrow. We need the floating room. Okay, yeah. So it's actually this thing here. Okay, claw. Mushroom. Damage. Mushroom. And claw. Okay, let's not die. And then we go to the cheap water room for the key entry. Which is going to be right here. And we try not to die to anything too chaotic. And it's a new record. Okay, let's do another one. I actually kind of wonder how that time compared to a clear check. It was not really that clean. I was off by about 3 seconds, so good enough. And that's going to be... yeah, I was second and third clear on this version. Alright, let's dial up something else. The thing about escape rooms is that I never know when something is going to take over the entire stream or not. But I think I have an idea for what to do, and next we'll just take a moment to bring it up. If I can find the code that I'd written down here. So yeah, we'll do something else that I believe in is an escape room. This is a much older one. And I've been putting it off for some time. So as some of you may or may not have heard, something very unfortunate happened to Grikowski. Grikowski had his like count completely nuked by Nintendo. And the maker point count, I think they erroneously detected him as exploiting the like system or something because of probably some puzzle mechanic that was too interesting for the official authorities. And so unfortunately, even though clears and likes on an individual player basis have stayed on his levels, his total numbers have plummeted and become completely reset. In light of that, we are going to go to one of his very old levels from early 2020. This is one of the only ones I haven't played from that far down in the list because I've played almost everything he's made at this point. And I was putting this one off specifically because I was saving it for some kind of escape room stream if we got around to one. So give me a moment while I set up my notepad for this one in case we do in fact require some pen and paper. It says group participation recommended, but as people familiar with my escape streams know, I am perfectly willing to try to solo it. While you watch me squirm. So let's see if I can set this up. Grikowski Escape House, just in case. Nintendo is just too jealous that he makes better levels than them yet. I mean, Nintendo doesn't really even compete in the kind of specific kind of puzzling in terms of Mario mechanics puzzling that he tends to do, so. Yeah, Terramis deleting all likes, I thought was the kind of penalty that they had only specifically for people who were exploiting the like system. I know that people have been hammered for it in the past, even if they put like hearts in their level or something like that, or put the word like in their description, or a whole bunch of things to flag it as begging for likes. But in this case, I would think it was probably a combination of that and some deletions that he experienced for levels that tripped the glitch detection. I think maybe there's a threshold for the amount of glitch detection you can trip before things become a problem. But I'm not sure exactly, because unfortunately Nintendo is just totally opaque about this stuff and there's no recourse for appeal, which is a huge, huge problem. Anyway, explore house, decipher the clues, let's take a look. Apparently we can do it in 27 seconds. And I'll try to stay for a few additional puzzles after this, but we may just do a short stream today because the escape room that we did before this one just went by so much faster than anticipated. But this will perhaps turn into a general puzzle stream. Anyway, here's a clock. A clock and an unlit chandelier. And a bedroom up top. This is, after all, a very spacious house. Staircase. 2 doors on either side. Let's just explore this area first. Also, I don't know if my sound is going. Yeah, we're just on a very quiet theme here because it's SMB Ghost House, so I think sound is still working. Notice the numbers. The bed is 2. The snake block room is just a lot of snake blocks. Oh, it gives you a number 6, 3, and 9. What does this one give you? This one is just a curve. So was that just 3 numbers, or I didn't actually track that because I saw the 9, 6, and 3. I kind of want to reset this room just to see. So it looks like it's just a number-based thing where I just need to sort things accordingly. So yeah, it was 5 tracks here. We just needed to activate everything, I think, and follow along. And maybe read the order here. 6, 3... Ah, okay, so some of these tracks connect. I don't know if this was supposed to be a 1 in the middle or something. Or a minus sign, like 9 something 63, which would be like a 9 times 7. Or 9 minus 63, I don't know, we'll see. But we see 963 there, and that's the important thing. Actually, the way that these connected was sort of dependent on the timing of my activation, so we need to think about how this would be timing independent, but yeah, so we don't really need to pay too much attention to the way that the last green one dropped off, I think. You think it's 9 minus 6 equals, really? I didn't read that as an equal sign for some reason, but let's take a look at this. It totally... Oh, okay, because the equal signs fits into the window, yeah. Okay, I agree with that. 9 minus 6 equals, yeah. So this is a 2, this is a 9 minus 6 equals. I'm not actually jotting much down at this point because we're fine. This looks like it's actually going to match up to something important. It might just be a 1 because of all this stuff by the panel, but we probably don't have enough information to say that. This is a fireplace. Likely this will be released by something. Let's take a look. Towards the left, what have we got? Also, yeah, notice the time here. This is 3 o'clock. Possibly. Okay. Anyway, this gave you the musical chime from... Yeah, I believe that's Bach, but I don't remember the number. That's the thing. But maybe it's the number of notes that matters. And it's 9 notes. It doesn't seem like a Grokowski-style thing to do to kind of rely on your knowledge of Bach. That's something I've seen in other escape rooms in terms of like external musical knowledge, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't do that. We probably need to hit all of these and see what they create once we have done so. Just to see what the initial position is revealed to be. We probably could visualize it from just this initial position. It looks like it's going to be... What is that? Probably an 8. I can quite seriously believe that to be an 8. Yeah, it's pretty obviously going to be that. We'll complete it anyway, just for kicks. And also to attempt to jump on top of this thing, which will utterly failed to do. Okay, nothing on top. Might match up to something with the garden later. Okay, so we've got the 2. Got the 9 minus 6. We've got a musical clue, which I was assuming was maybe a 9. We've got the 3 o'clock over here. And we've got the 8. And this looks like it might be a 1, but I don't really have sufficient information to be saying that. Now we can check the pipes. We haven't checked the pipes yet. Green pipe. And more doors. We haven't seen any kind of a code entry room yet. I think we're supposed to watch these converge into a shape. Let's see. It looks like it's a 2, yeah. Maybe we're supposed to match these two to the elements, like we see a burner as a number 2. This looks like it has to be composed in a certain way. These are dice. And the dice follow like a grid of 1, 2, 3 by 1 and 2, where you have the top 3 columns. It's like a formula. Well, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 2, 4, 6. It would be 6. This room is 6. So if we look for coins, coins will probably be 6. Let's see here. I should probably jot stuff down at some point, but we'll be out of time anyway. Here's the code entry. Ah, yes. And it is indeed by element. So let's do this. Okay, so it's going to be burner, note, invisible. So sorry, that's not burner, that's firebar. Firebar. Burner. Question block is the snake block thing. Donut, I believe, is 1. Ice. Do we see ice? Ice is 2, yes. And question block between the 2 tracks. Oh, we needed to see which question block was between the 2 tracks and which question block was in the square. I believe the square was actually the dice, so it's not the snake. It's, let's call it box. And let's call this question block equal sign. And let's call this ice. We know the firebar was 3 o'clock. We know the note block was probably 9 if it's the number of notes. We know invisible block is 8. We know the burner was 2. The box, if it's the dice, would be a 6. Let's call it dice. Donut is probably 1. Maybe. Can't imagine that as much else. Ice is 2. And so yeah, digits are not going to be unique, and that's fine because this is the kind of code where anything up to 9 will make sense. This seemed to be the 9 minus 3, so, or sorry, 9 minus 6. So we'll denote that as such, and we'll just try. Let's check the box thing first, just to make sure we know how the question blocks are lining up. But yes, that's the equal sign. So let's punch it in. That should give me a key for the key door with about 80 seconds remaining. So 3982 6123. Three nine 8 2 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3. Well, let's not accidentally hit any pounds before the activation. I was about to jump right up and whack the POW on the last lock. Is something going to walk over to the other side for me? Is it going to take its sweet time? There we go. Push is done. Maybe that was incorrect then. It looks like that was incorrect. Let's check our work. Yeah, I mean, that was definitely incorrect. It should have given me something, so... It could be that the note room is wrong. This is definitely 3. Hang on, let's listen again. There's 9 notes. That one might be wrong. Oops. We should also think about the redundant numbers. That the burner gave me a 2 and the ice gave me a 2. And 9 minus 6 gave me a 3. Yeah, no, there is going to be some redundancy. Like, this one looks like it's just going to be a giveaway, right? This mirror over here. This was to minus 6, that gives you 3. So I don't know if this assumption was correct with the 1. Oh, no, it's not a 1, it's a 7, because you can't lower the top blocks. Okay, that's the one. That's the one we have to correct. It's a 7 because it's you have to account for the ceiling, not just the bar to right. So let's just make that one correction. And we'll try the code once again with just one change and much less time pressure. Okay, 2 here. 6. 7. 2. 3. And let's use passcodes responsibly and safely. Wait for the snake block to finish its push and see if that gets me what I want. No. Alright, let's see what other adjustments we might need to make then. Have I got this in the right order? Yeah, clock is... We're actually still unsure about the notes. Let's see here. Lantis, welcome. We know this is 8. We know the burner is 2. We should check the burner again because maybe I misread something about that. I was pretty sure the dice is 6 because it does the multiplication by 2. It was literally a multiplication table. Donut we saw was 7, ice is 2. The ice seems too straightforward almost, unless it's just kind of a key to everything else. Like maybe the ice is a freebie. I'm not actually sure. Oh, it's a mirror. The ice is a mirror, so this is actually 5. Interesting. Let's put a question mark behind that. I like that one, actually, because I was thinking, yeah, there's no way that it's just going to give me a number like that, right? It's going to be something else. The mirror idea is quite good, actually. I quite like it. And we'll try to code again. We still have one redundancy, which is the number 3. But that's okay. There's no number 1. That's the one we're missing. So in the event that this doesn't work, we should look at the number 3 in either case and see if one of them is supposed to be a 1. But one of them is to clock and the other one is to 9 minus 6, right? So... Oh no, that's just going to give me the key. That's correct then. Okay, let's shut off the notes. And... let's get out. GG, except we're going to take this and... whoops. Probably claw our way over. And come over here just to see what's here. Beyond the flag. Yeah, this was an old one, like I said, from early 2020. Nice, easy, accessible one. Now, I can stay for a bit longer. I probably don't want to deal in a full escape room at this point, but we can certainly try. I do have another one jotted down that we can take a look at. I don't want to be running super long today, though, so... But even if we don't finish, we can maybe start another one and get some notes together. So this is one I had jotted down quite a while ago. Should actually copy some of these into chat. The previous one, for those wondering, this code. And the one that we have now is this code. Let me just get my notepad set up. This is from last July, but it was the most recent upload by Redbeard. I still have to catch up on a couple of different escape rooms by Redbeard. Redbeard is the one who likes to incorporate sometimes some cultural references as well as word puzzles, which are very much up my alley. Let's see if I can just get my notes page together first. And this is only illusions. There we go. And yeah, some of these in the past have taken me like maybe 2 or 3 hours, depending on the amount of busy work we'd need to do, like opening up the editor and assembling images tile by tile, which I've had to do before for half an hour at a time. We'll see how accessible this one is, and we'll at least scout it out and do a partial solution. Once again, whether or not I do manage to see it all the way to the end. Can you solve logic puzzles to reach the exit? You'll find it someday. Okay. Where does this go? It gives you access to the red pipe. This looks complicated. This looks like there's not enough room to do a ground pound. Right arrow... Okay, so I see that the arrows are pointing at the different enemies. I'm wondering about what it's signifying about the Goombas and the ants. I see the ants weaving through the pipe to the left. We need to scout this out. Can't assume anything yet. Looking at the number of clouds that we're dealing with. Maybe this is something to do with the count. Maybe it's something to do with... well, I don't know, because it seems like the pipes sort of exist in different layers. We don't have enough information to read this yet, really, but we see that there are 4 ants here, matching the fact that there are 4 ants to the right side. None of the other enemies match. The blooper, the 2-tile pokey, and the dry bones are all unique and don't appear on this side. We can kill the Goomba, and that does nothing. Okay, What I know from past Redbeard puzzles is that very often the question marks that are in a row like this signify a word. And that the words usually come together for some kind of meta puzzle that is based on some kind of unscrambling or based on a pun or something like that. So we're looking for a 5-letter word in this room, and this puzzle may be relatively self-contained rather than depending on outside information, although maybe we need outside information to properly decode it. So let's get something down in the notes here. We'll probably have to rename some of this stuff as we go, but we'll go clear pipe room 5 letters. And we'll have to come back here for sure, I think, to understand what exactly we should be extracting from this. We have 4 ants. The ants have a certain movement pattern. The Goomba has a pattern going back and forth, according to a certain rhythm. Maybe the periodicity of the pipes does matter. Notice this one ant that's just kind of sailing all the way to the end. It could be the number of pipes to go through also matters. Or that the direction is important. There's rats. Well, I mean, Skip Squeak, you get Hop Chop, Fire, and Green Koopa. So I'm looking at Dry Bones. I'm trying to see how the blooper, the Pokey, the Spike, and a Dry Bones really relate to anything here. Because they seem like they're basically kind of unique. But we would need to think about how things are assigned to letters. And if we think about the Goomba as one additional piece, then maybe we have like 5 different units to work with that are based on these 4 ants. Let's think about this. The clouds may also matter. Yeah, because I currently don't really see how the clouds are arranged. They're just in sets of 5, 6, and 5. They alternate. I don't know what that does. It may be that my sequence of 1, 2, 3 pipes here gives me something like 3. Notice the arrow. Because if you look at this, look at how there's a certain number of pipes that each of these enemies goes through. So for example, the top ant goes through 2 pipes, and it matches up to the 2-tile Pokey. The second ant goes through 1, 2, 3, 4 pipes. Why would 4 match up to a blooper? Is it because the blooper has... well, it has a lot more than 4 tentacles, that's for sure. And I don't know how the Spike would fit into this. That's the issue. The bottom ant just goes through 1 singular pipe and it wraps around a Dry Bones. I'm not quite sure. There's going to be some kind of mapping to these top elements. We need to explore more of this puzzle, I think, before we can draw any conclusions, because it's possible that we'll have some additional information that becomes vital. Okay. 4 piranhas. Whoops. That was meant to be a jump. Anyway, like I said, 4 piranhas. We have a couple of bounces. A couple of pokies. Sort of wonder what this stomp will do. kills everything. And then... Whoa, that's dangerous. Now, why would this be useful? Let's think about whether it activates anything we want. Notice the colors match. That you get red, orange, yellow, green, and that you have 8 question blocks there, but so that's not going to be the word clue necessarily, because I was looking for something like rainbow. Right? Because it goes red, orange, yellow. Let's go around. Blue. And purple. And then we'll take the POW, because maybe that's important. And we can take this back down. It looks like this is supposed to be a rainbow. But we'll take the blue pipe and see... Oh, that's interesting. This looks like it may be a code entry of some sort. A code entry that would then give you the on-off, perhaps. You would need the on-off to get out of here, otherwise you would drop on a donut block and that would just kill you. Yeah. So it is going to be kind of a do-or-die code entry room. So let's get this down in the notes, actually, as a rainbow room. It looks like it's 8 letters, maybe 10. Because of the way that the question blocks were curving on me earlier. But it does lead to this passcode entry, which is a kind of... It might be ordered, it might be binary. But it's going to be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, key entry. Or code entry, let's just say. I don't know if order is going to matter, or if you just need to operate a specific number of POWs, but I don't know how it relates to the previous room or why it's kind of tagged beside the previous room, so we may want to start this one over as well. I'm pretty sure the right side here is going to be dead. We'll check it just to be sure. We can also see what kind of activations we get off of these. And yeah, this is just... sound effects are possibly important here. So we have 6 of these. I think we need to pay attention to the sound effects in the previous room and then understand how they match up by color. So, yeah, so let's do... And actually, possibly, the sound effects are sorted by color here. So let's do this in the notes. Because it looks like it's a red lantern. And then you can actually check each of these spots before you punch things in. Oh, that's white sparks. Okay, so wait, hang on. Red lantern, sparks, or zap, I guess. And that's going to be blue, or Sonic Castle, I guess. Oh, that's going to be the zap effect. Wait, no, which one is... Yeah, I don't actually even remember what this is called, but the rainbow circle, let's say. Because I thought the sparks was the one that was officially designated as zap, but that tells you just how long it's been since I've done any serious level building work. Now this one's going to be purple haze, or wahaha, evil. And this one was going to be the song. Roses, song, whatever. I actually just don't remember the names of a lot of this stuff. But we should try to match this up to the previous sound effects or do them in order of the rainbow, which is going to get us into trouble, of course, because there was this polychromatic circle that was over here. So, yeah, because it's 6 different pieces of this entry here, we should look into the previous room as well, just to see how things lined up. I guess the zap might align with yellow because it's electricity. And we're currently missing yellow as a notable piece. Yeah, because you got 6 colors here. So the question is, what would qualify as green? Does the rainbow circle qualify as green? Because if it does, then we actually have an order set up. Yeah. Because we just go in rainbow order for this one. And it should actually work. This requires a little bit of guesswork here, as well as dodging the spikes, but it should give me some kind of informational clue that is going to be critical. Let's just play it cautiously, I was about to say, until we just decided to run headfirst into that. We could have just climbed a tree there, to be honest. Okay. Yeah, let's just climb the tree. Skip over all this nonsense. Whoop. And then how... Interesting. I wonder what that POW even does. Other than get you through the wall. But we'll do it in rainbow order. We're going to do red first. Then orange, which is going to be the roses. And then we'll do yellow, which we'll read to be the zap. And then green, which we'll have to read as the rainbow circle. It's just kind of by elimination. Blue. And then purple. Did anything activate? No. So that's not correct. Okay, so some of our inferences were wrong. Maybe this effect is going to tell me something useful here, or... like, because it is... Maybe we got the zap and the spark mixed up. I don't know, because I don't really know how the white spark is supposed to fit into this. Maybe we're just supposed to skip those. And do the other 4 colors in rainbow order. That doesn't seem to make too much sense, though. I mean, we... So we can try both of these possibilities. We're going to try to do the swap of the rainbow circle and the zap ability, or we're going to try to skip them entirely because the color clue for them is unclear. Unless it's something that requires you to look at the color of the element in the palette. Because I honestly don't quite remember how that looks in the editor. It may also be that the numbers here are important. The numbers give you the color order. So you don't just go in rainbow order. You have to go in numerical order in the way that there are 3 skip squeaks here. Okay, yeah, no, that's probably the thing we're missing. You get 3, 5... what do you do with the fact that there are 3 spikes though? No, it's 2 trees. So I think maybe that's just a 2. so let's actually maybe fix this, because we know you got 4 here for red. Yeah, no, I think this is actually going to be on the right track. 3 purple skip squeaks. We have 5 blue creepers. Whoops. It looks like it's going to be 6 for orange because of the donuts, but we'll go back there and check. Yeah, the only kind of missing piece is the color green right now, which is going to be number 2, and then yellow is 1 because you're just hitting one of these. So it's not going to be an 8 or 10 letter entry, that's just a platform. It is in yellow. And so we're going to do it in this order. So let's say that's going to be a 1. We'll do that one first. Something seemed to happen there. We'll check the rainbow circle next. For the 2 green trees. We'll check purple for the 3 skip squeaks. We'll check red. And then blue. And then orange. And let's get the note screen out of here because I think we've done what we need to do with it, besides perhaps jotting down the solution. Is that not the solution? Maybe I've got red and orange swapped. It's always a possibility that maybe the lanterns are the ones that are orange. Yeah, actually, no, I think I do have red and orange swapped. They should be red roses. Yeah, no, that's actually quite obvious to me in retrospect that we messed up red and orange. I still don't know why green corresponds to the circle, though. Let's take a look at the rainbow circle again. Don't know why that would be green. But anyway, we fixed up our notes for the time being. I guess I'm just doing that by elimination, like I said before. Now let's get back into that room. We'll just do that one swap. And that is going to require me to swap the numbers on this as well. 6 for orange, 4 for red. Okay. I think I do have the right idea, though. We just need to clean up the way that we're reading the clues, but I have numbers, I have colors, I have sound effects, we have all the information we need. So let's get up here. Okay. 2. Still don't really know about that one. 3. 4. And then 5. And 6. Still no activation. Okay. We can try to swap the spark thing again. Like, there's no particular reason to read the sparks as yellow. I was just kind of thinking, because it's electrifying, that would work. We can just try to swap them in the order, perhaps. But rainbow and white just don't seem to fit into this, that's the thing. It could be that they fit somewhere else into this order. But we know that the other pieces should be in place. Just don't see why this would be relevant to numbers 1 and 2. So maybe we should just swap our 1 and 2. Because all of the other numbers work. But there's no particular reason to associate sparks with green either. Or the rainbow circle with yellow, there's certainly no reason to do that. So maybe they are associated with the relevant shapes. So for yellow, you have the number 1, but then is there a sound effect that we had here? Let's try to trigger the sound effect, actually, with the relevant zones. And see if maybe the sound is going to be the clue rather than the color. Let's actually watch what sound effect I got from the big stomp. None. Nothing here either. Okay. Well, let's check the trees as well. Maybe there's something going on effects-wise. You know, green is number 2, we just don't know what corresponds to green. And that is a pretty serious problem right now. The other thing, too, is that ordered number clues, I think, actually are subject to 2 different interpretations much of the time. And I'm currently reading them to say that I'm going to push in that order 1 through 6. No, because of the additional sound clues, I think I have to read it this way. So the thing I'm getting at is that, let's say you get the instruction to push 1, 2, 3, 4. Are you thinking of that as 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or you know, pushing them by position? 1, 2, 3, 4 is a bad example. Let's say 1, 3, 2, 4. Are you going 1st, 3rd, 2nd, 4th, or are you going sort of in the inverse? Or you're thinking about reordering the objects yourself? Let's just do a bit of a naive swap on 1 and 2 and see if that does anything. It's a total guesswork. I don't think it's going to work, but... But I'm not sure how else they fit in when we do have numbers from 3 to 6 for all of the other ones. Either that or you just skip the zap and rainbow entirely and just do the other ones in their prescribed order. That might actually be it, in fact. I mean, these 2 are not colors. There's no particular reason I need to believe that I need to hit everything. Let's just skip them. And do the other ones in the 3 to 6 order. And hit 4 switches. It doesn't really seem very tidy to me, but we'll have to think about doing it this way. Notice how it gives you a big circle for purple here, but purple's already accounted for by Music of Doom. So let's try to hit just 4 switches this time and leave the other 2 alone. And we'll start with purple, because that would make it the first in this order. let's assume this is in fact red. Yeah, because if the other ones are not part of the individual bands of the rainbow, why are we trying them? Oh, that's not correct either. Alright, let's do it with the reversal we talked about earlier. Once again, it's also possible that I just haven't seen enough information. Although, it looks like it's a self-contained problem. I also noticed this one, it gives you 6, it also gives you 4. And this one isn't necessarily 1 either. Because there are a couple of numbers to choose from. I mean, maybe we should be thinking about the grand total. Because it's entirely possible that, you know, pokies here are 6. There's no reason it might not be. And look at these elements here, for instance, that you have so many spike balls and pipes that are arranged in 3s. There's no reason to believe that this is necessarily 2. This one is pretty clearly 5. Unless you have to add up all of the elements and kind of count up how many there are. I don't know, it seems implausible though, given how much care and attention there was to making things line up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a little opaque to me. But yeah, why do I insist that this is going to be 6 rather than 4, or for that matter 10? Because 4 is already taken, and 4 is already very obviously taken. So we'll see about this. Yeah, because I guess I'm basing it on the blocks. If I am, then do I still believe that this is 3? I guess I didn't pay much attention to what was taken out by the POW. Yeah, we shouldn't do quite so much guesswork when it comes to this. Seems like there are definitely things we can figure out from it that we haven't quite seen yet. Let's do the reverse 1 and 2. The rainbow and the white darkness, or well, not darkness, the whiteness of the light. 2 and then purple. Because I'm definitely thinking about whether there's an alternate order to use when interpreting what's going on here. So yeah, it could always be total elements, not single elements. Let's scout ahead and do some other rooms, and maybe this will occur to me later. It seems like we had a lot of the relevant information, just wasn't clear to me why we were failing on it. And the rest of the level may have some kind of answer. Yeah, because maybe there's some additional context that we know. Dog, a snake. Notice that these are associated with power-ups. Dog is boomerang, snake is propeller. Cow is Goomba and bullet, and a duck is a hammer. Now, why would it be a Goomba and a bullet? Because those are 6 letters long. But then hammer is 6 letters long. So maybe that's not it. Boomerang. Oh! Here's an idea. Goomba and bullets. Dog and boomerang. Yeah, no, I'm just thinking about the letters in irrelevant words. I mean, the placement might matter too. I'm not exactly sure. Anyway. Dog, snake. Oh, we got more. Got a lot of clues here, in fact, so... Whoa. That's a lot of stuff to look at. Goomba over here, which we're not going to do anything with just yet. Missy has the cat bell and the bullets. Then Jackie and Parker. And DI program, welcome. We got the clear. I had budgeted plenty of time for the escape room today, and I thought, oh, let's prepare for the worst in case it takes all stream, and we're still on it by the time you come by. But I actually finished it fairly quickly, by my standards. But yeah, quite well put together. Enjoyed it a lot. And you'll find it at the beginning of the VOD for this stream. Why don't we get a pig sound here earlier? What was the thing that triggered that? Was it this platform? Not sure. Oh, that's something. Like I was saying, I don't know if I'll necessarily stay long enough to finish this one today, but... Jackie with a fire flower. Parker with a pow and a Goomba. Yeah, there's going to be some kind of weird word association that we need to do here with the letters, I think. So, for example, let's try to match the purple to what is below. Did I actually take screenshots here in sufficient numbers? Yeah, so we got these 4 tiles, and we have some correspondence between the power-ups, but nothing between the fire flower or the propeller. So, for example, if you look at the boomerang, it's sitting in the O for dog. It's also sitting in the P for Cooper. And the intersection of Cooper with dog would just be the letter O. But I don't know if that's relevant. Probably not, actually. I don't think that will be anything. Definitely the... I don't know if the placement specifically matters, but definitely the presence of the power-ups is something we need to cross-check. They're not necessarily corresponding with specific letters, are they? Well, the bullet is between 2 S's, so it could still be corresponding to the S. But then you have the bullet here that's between the O and a W, and it can't be both. And, you know, the A and the K for the propeller. It's wildly different how fast people clear it, yeah. I wouldn't even know exactly, and thank you for the cheers, DI program, before you've even seen the clear. I could just be bluffing you here. But thinking back to it, I'm not even sure what I would classify as the thing that I had the most trouble with necessarily, because I think, you know, I was kind of fortunate, I think, in terms of how quickly I saw certain things and chose the right alternative, where I considered various alternatives and was lucky enough to get it right on the first try with the order of possibilities I had planned out. Oh, okay, this is something new. Oh, and you get a star too, okay. Oh, because this defends you from Bowser fire. That's important. Bowser and a cat. Okay, well, I mean, Bowser is Meowser here, so... But the fact that you have propeller and bullet box down here. Ah, okay. There's a cat plus plus. Propeller plus bullet plus... we're gonna die. Propeller plus bullet plus cannon. Do we have a cannon box anywhere else here? Let's see. Yes, yeah, it's just a C. Propeller, bullet, cannon. Well, if you think about the propeller being situated between two letters as being assigned to both those letters, you get B-O-E-R-C. And of course, I'm just anagramming that in my head to see if it's anything interesting. Yeah, propeller plus bullet. Unless, yeah, it might not be... Well, let's see here. So it's attaching all of the things that was seen together. Every element that's attached to text here is being added, which tells me that if we apply this clue to what we had seen in the previous room, we just need to think about what corresponds to what, and kind of add the distinct elements together accordingly to get a certain string or combination. So supposing that propeller refers to both A and K, for instance, are we going to be able to add it to anything up here? Some power-ups, yeah, you would want a distinct set of power-ups, but how do we know which ones will actually work in conjunction? Because that wasn't clear from Bowser Cat just now, for sure. So yeah, you've got Bowser Cat, you've got the plus signs over here telling you to use all three. And I don't know what that gets me. B-O-E-R-C. I wonder if the order matters. The order might not matter. The order is just top to bottom. In this particular room anyway. Unless the power placements are going to be consistent about what they're pointing to. I don't know. Might not be. So it may just be that we need to assemble all of this together. OPMS CAE. Oh, here's another door. I think that's where it came in now. No, not this room. I decided to progress from that one for now, just to see what else is going on. We hadn't seen some of this, actually. Well, there's a lot to scout out in this one. But we'll see what is actually going to be relevant here. Okay. Don't know if it is going to be... It's not going to be color-based like it was before, I think. That's already been used once as an idea. And yeah, this up down thing, I don't quite know where it's going as well. Interesting, this twister placement here. Let's see what's going on with this exclamation block. Okay, just one. Well, a lot of information to take in, that's for sure. Let's see if we can get up here and inspect whether anything is good. Okay, that gives me a sound clue. May or may not relate to any other sound clues that we've seen so far. Given how vast and sprawling this appears to be. Now, why would I want this? Okay. Let's go back. Let's just continue scouting. We haven't really even seen what the final code entry or anything will be like anyway, so we have a lot of information that we just haven't taken in yet. And until we do, some of this may be a moot point anyway. This looks like equations... Interesting. So, these are kind of like logic gates here. Off and off equals off. On and off looks like it's kind of like an OR gate operation. Except, no, it's actually an XOR gate, where two ones equal a negative. So it looks like it is an XOR gate. So we need to think about this entire sequence as one massive XOR gate. Why would we want to turn things on or off? Just for visibility reasons? I don't know. We can try to kill the Goomba, of course. Oh. Well, now it's dead. But we can try to just read what the overlap is going to be, and I might need to take notes for this one. Let's go back to the notes and let's just call this the addition room. Let's mark the sound effects thing as wrong so far. We just don't have it so far. Addition room. Let's just try to mark this out in this order of operations, left or right. So yeah, once again, I don't know why we would want to activate this. The logic is going to be equivalent either way. And we need this to be in this current position in order to get out of the room at all, so... Let's just try to mark this out. And XOR our way through the whole thing. It might require quite a bit of notation. So everything equivalent is going to get switched off. So that's complementary. It's going to get switched off. That's... Yeah, that's still going to be... You know what? I think it's going to be easier with 1 and 0. I can read it much easier that way. Okay, I like that much better. So, second interaction here is we're going to flip all of the appropriate switches, leaving only the ones that are the XOR operation. So that's going to switch to, hang on, we probably want to keep each one as we go along so we can actually recover our steps in case of mistakes. So that's going to be 110. That's going to be 101. That's going to be 10. That's just after adding the first piece here. And then that's going to be... Wait, no, I messed this up already. Actually, which is why we keep track. No, that's 110, that's correct. And then it's going to be 101. And then 110. How many of these are there? This is quite a lot. Let me just screenshot this. Okay, 6 of these. So we got the first 3. Let's get the second half. And let's just do this from the screenshot library because that's going to be much easier. Except now I'm kind of obstructing the stream visibility of this. That's okay. We'll try to work with it. So let's do the next transformation. It's then going to be 111 because the whole XOR is going to happen. Yeah, you have to be fairly accurate about this. That's the main thing that is throwing me off here. It's going to be 111. Going to be 101. That just remains in place. Then 111. Okay. So now we go into the second half. Which is going to blank out everything except for that one over there, which means every switch that's remaining on should remain on. Hang on, let's do it as a separate row. Whoops. And yeah, everything except this one switch that's been flipped here. And like I said, we're just understanding everything as an XOR operation. Which means we'll continue to do it this way. We're now reading a fifth one. 110 is going to translate to 101. And then, interestingly enough, most of this stuff is starting to blink off. Now we do the last transformation, the one that's on the far side of here. The XOR 0 just blinks off. And then it just creates a square. So this is the final state here. I don't know from a data entry perspective what we do with that information. Like, how do we even use this? Because we know that the final result is going to be like a 0. Basically, like it looks like this. That's the final result after all of the XOR operations. Where is that even useful? I don't see a data entry. I don't know if the Goomba's particular step timing here will matter as well. We can try to get up top, but like I said, a whole lot of nothing, so. Yeah, this was the yellow pipe. We'll almost certainly have to break this up into a second section. I will not be able to finish this today. It's just a bit of a first look. Because there's just so much information to take in. This is actually a pretty significant level in terms of scope. I'm sure this movement is going to matter at some point. Yeah, look at some kind of object that we need to keep in mind. I guess the idea here is that it is kind of like you're swimming into giant land or something where you got everything going in these quad blocks that may or may not be useful. I mean, I still don't really think I've seen even the basic structure of this level in terms of, you know, where an exit is, where a code entry is going to be, etc. We'll try to crush that Goomba. We're just very humane about that. There's still a lot that we haven't seen. We have seen that room. I don't know if I checked the bottom over here, but we'll give that a quick look. Wow, there is so much to this. But it looks like there's a certain connectivity here between the various types of blocks that are used as connecting pieces. And that this is just one big wiring diagram or something. Ah, no, I see. There's a crisscrossing of the pattern. And so you just kind of need to follow the weave. And if you follow the weave, what does that allow you to interact with? Not much so far, but again, keeping our eyes open for some kind of verbal clue. Yeah, so for example, you follow the circuit of these P blocks. And follow the arrows, and then you would be able to loop around here, and then... Yeah, so it seems like each of the block types is going to follow a pathway that winds up with one of these blocks at the end. One of these 3, 4... Okay, yeah. And then there are other scattered parts of the layout as well. Yeah, so we see this emanating from the question block, which is a yellow element, of course. We see the white elements, the boo followed by the clouds kind of going down this way. Once again, I'm just not sure where a data entry is or final locking puzzle or anything. We're still just learning the basics of the layout. We haven't seen anything yet. We haven't seen very much of where any of these puzzles is going to go. But let's check every pipe and see if it becomes clearer. A, B, C. Okay, so this is just an alphabet. An alphabet that furthermore corresponds to enemies, which is really important because of the ant pipe room that we saw at the very beginning. We actually really need an alphabetic key. I don't know if I want to screenshot the whole thing. Let's see. Notice that in some cases there's nothing corresponding to the relevant letters. Let's Let's see how much I managed to capture here. Not a whole lot, actually. Let's think about this. Yeah, it goes all the way to Z, and then what? What's down here? Ah, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Okay, now this is crucial. This explains a lot, all of a sudden. Because we knew that some of this stuff corresponded to letters of the alphabet that were in the word room. Maybe it's indicative of some kind of rotational cipher or something, where you have a certain letter that's associated with a number, and the number tells you how many slots you rotated or something. I don't think we have the information to say something like that yet, but this does present itself immediately as something we'll have to look into. Alright, let's just make sure we've checked the whole level. I will probably not continue past this timeout because I know that we will not get clear today, but we'll just take this as a bit of an initial scouting run. That gives me purple. I wonder if a sound effect is the thing that's important here. This looks almost kind of like a hatching egg or something. And this track block, what does that give me? I think these are giving me like illustrations where we need to kind of imagine this zoomed out enough that these are actual creatures. And particularly the kind of creatures that match up to the descriptions that we saw in one of the earlier levels by some of the makers that we've been featuring. Yeah, it really does feel like this is supposed to just complete a picture every time. Now there is some color diversity to it too, but I don't think it fits with the rainbow room at all. Anyway, no real progress in this one. 30 seconds. Do we have anything we have not checked? We've seen every pipe exit at this point. Where does this drop you on the right side? It drops you down below. Okay. Oops. Have we checked the yellow pipe? Yes, we have. Because that was the XOR room. I mean, the XOR room is just returning 0. Or returning off. Let's just switch it off. Maybe that's going to be a significant development, except of course we're locked out now. Never mind. Interesting. But yeah, we'll drop this one for now at timeout, because we didn't really even get past the scouting phase, and it's a lot of stuff to take in. Much bigger than I expected. I usually expect this particular maker here, Redbeard, to go big if he can. So yeah, previously we had this correspond to the alphabetic key. I wonder if the clouds at the bottom... no, you're still supposed to get 5-letter clue, but let's just take a look at the enemy selection here. Blue for Pokey, Spike, Dry Bones. Possibly the Skip Squeak, but Do we count spikes? Spike trombones. Hooper Pokey, yeah. And yeah, we've seen this one a couple times. We didn't go in the water at any point, though. Let's see if there's anything relevant in the lower level. Doesn't seem like it. We'll tap out for now. I've got a lot of Redbeard to catch up on, and so I do want to finish this at some point. It just will not necessarily be this week. And this was just a bit of a scouting run anyway, since we finished the other 2 escapes today so quickly. Given that, I mean, I am kind of tempted to pull up something short to go out on a win. But I think we've had a good set of escapes today, so yeah, I'm a couple behind on Redbeard's profile. I did play Guess What? I was an early playtester on it. We did miss a True Mushroom Kingdom story. I think I still have the record on Game Shark. So that's going to be all for me today. I'm going to log off a little bit early and have to back up some stamina, I suppose, for viewer levels that are likely to come in the next stream tomorrow, so be back for that if you do have anything to queue. For now, we're probably just going to call it and celebrate the clears that we did have today. And we're going to move you on somewhere else. So, thanks so much for watching. Stick around for our next destination. Keep up with any further announcements about our schedule for when we inevitably go back to this to finish that escape room we just started to explore for the first time. Next week, I think I may be doing a Maker 1 puzzle, but I have not finalized that yet. It will depend on how our schedule will go. But I'm trying to fit one in for the month of May. It's also going to be quite a big one that's going to, I am told, require quite some concerted effort. So in the meantime, thanks for watching. Stick around for our next destination coming up very soon. And yeah, we kind of have to leave that last level dangling for now to leave you in suspense, but there seems to be a lot of note-taking I'll want to do on the side anyway, just so we're not doing all of that while taking up time on stream. But have fun. Have a great weekend ahead of you, whether you show up for other streams or not. And once again, fare thee well.